Welcome to This Daring Adventure podcast, where we work on bridging the gap between where we are and where we want to be in order to live a bigger and bolder life. In this podcast, we will provide inspiration, tips, and skills you need to make your life the adventure you want it to be. Here's your host, mindset mentor, and life coach, Trista Gurton.
Hey everybody, welcome back to This Daring Adventure. So this is going to be episode 2 of our Reinvention Series. Last week we had episode 1, next week episode 3. It's 3 parts. Today is Stop Fixing the Wrong Problem. And if you're new here, I'm Trista Gurton. I am a master life coach for women in midlife who feel like there is more for them. I help women who have been through a divorce, or they're empty nesters, or they've lost their job and they're looking for something new, or they're looking to make a career change. There's some sort of big transition going on in their lives, but they're a little stuck. They know that there's more out there for them, that they're looking at the second half of their lives and thinking, there's got to be more, right? And you feel that inside, like you are meant for more. And that is true. I'm here to tell you, like, that is a thing. It is really true. And if you're feeling that way, then you're in the right place. And we're here for it. We're here for more expansion, more meaning, more life, more fun. And it's okay if you don't know how to get there. Nobody teaches us this. And so I wanted to start with this Reinvention series because this isn't it. And maybe your life isn't terrible, but there is something inside you that is restless, something ready to grow. And reinvention doesn't have to necessarily be about blowing up your life, but it is about evolving into the next version of yourself on purpose. And we like to do a lot of that work here. The tools and the skills that I teach show you how to do that so that you don't have to stay stuck, but you can go to the next level. And we always start with awareness. So last week in episode 1, we talked about the real reason why you feel stuck. And many women believe they're stuck because they lack confidence, discipline, clarity. But the real reason is we're buffering, we're numbing ourselves, we're distracting ourselves from what's really going on. And we use the buffering to avoid uncomfortable emotions. And so we can be scrolling, overworking, overthinking, overeating, pouring those glasses of wine, telling ourselves we'll figure it out later. And this was me. And if it's you, that's okay. This is not a character flaw. There's nothing wrong with you. It is a coping strategy, right? I know I used cheese as entertainment and food as rewards and wine as the answer. And once you see what you're doing, then something powerful can happen. And I don't want you to blame yourself, but we want to start understanding what's going on for us. And that's awareness. And that awareness is where the reinvention begins. So in episode 2, we're taking the next step in this conversation because once we realize that we're buffering and numbing our feelings and trying not to feel and trying to overcome the boredom and all the things that we're feeling, then we often go to trying to solve the problem by changing something externally on the outside. And we think if we could just fix this one thing, that will solve it. Sometimes it's our job, it's our weight, it's our productivity, it's our routine, it's our house, it's our city, it's our relationship. and we fix this thing, and then everything will feel better. But today's episode, we're going to go a little bit deeper because the truth is, it's not your weight, it's not your job, it's not your career, it's not the relationship, it's not the productivity, it's none of those things. You can go after them if you want and make the changes, absolutely. But what we want to focus on here is your relationship with yourself. Because so often women come and I have conversations with them and they don't love themselves, they don't trust themselves, they are beating themselves up, they are making themselves feel worse and worse. And again, this is not something that we're taught. We're not taught about the importance of having a relationship with ourselves, let alone how to actually go about doing that. And for me, that relationship is the foundation for everything you want to create, everything you want to change, everything you want to build, everything you want to grow and attain in your life is based on this relationship. And if this relationship doesn't change, doesn't evolve, doesn't grow, become stronger, then surface changes will rarely last. We'll land up in the same patterns, looking externally for the rewards, for the love, for the respect. And that's never enough. And it doesn't last. We have to learn how to build that relationship with ourselves so that we're trusting ourselves, we're following through, we're keeping our promises to ourselves, we're setting goals, we're learning, we're growing, we're evolving, and we love ourselves. We have our own back. So, as I mentioned, surface changes don't last. And I want to talk about what happens when we try to fix the wrong problem. We change our jobs, or we change our careers, or we try to lose the weight, or start the business, or reorganize the schedule. And for a while, it feels great. There's excitement, there's momentum, there's hope. Our brain loves something new because it's shiny and it is exciting. And there's a novelty to it. But eventually, what happens is the novelty wears off. Our brain gets a little bit tired, loses interest, doesn't want to do the work. And we revert back to the same thought patterns. The doubt shows up, the fear returns, the habits creep back in. And we start to think, God, there's something wrong with us. Like, what is going on? Why can't we do this? But I want to make sure that you understand that there is nothing wrong with you. But what is happening is you changed the circumstance, but you didn't change your identity that is driving your life. And I'm all for changing circumstances. And we want to do that. But if you're not changing your identity, if you're not changing your beliefs, if you're not changing your thought patterns, then you just land up bringing your brain with you and recreating the same life over and over again, the same patterns, the same behavior. Something that I see constantly is that we are living from an identity that was built decades ago, right? We're still hung up on what happened to us in our childhood, what we learned, what we experienced. It's an identity shaped by expectations, roles, responsibilities, other people's needs, the programming that we received through the media, through our education, from our parents, from our religion, whatever it is. And the programming that we've received, especially as women, is that we need to be the good girl. We need to be the responsible one. We need to be the caregiver, the high achiever, the reliable one. But then we reach midlife and something along the way shifts. We are no longer so busy putting others first and attaining the next thing after that and the different benchmarks and different steps, the education, the marriage, the house, the job, the children. Things become a little bit quieter. And that voice inside of us, that nudge inside of us, has more space. It becomes a little bit louder. It's still there. You may have just pushed it down and been able to ignore it over the years. And that's where some of the buffering comes in, because you can buffer, you can drink, you can eat, you can shop, you can gamble, you can overwork, all the things to push down and ignore that voice and that nudge. But that voice and that nudge may be saying now, I still want more. I still want to expand. I want something different. There is literally more out there that I can do. And that creates what I call the identity gap, the gap between who you've been and who you want to become. Now, here's the problem. Most women interpret that identity gap as failure. They think I should be grateful. I should be satisfied. Other women would love my life. Or they go the opposite way and I could have done more. It's too late for me. I made mistakes. I failed. But what happens is we try to silence the discomfort. We try to distract ourselves, continuing to minimize our desires and tell ourselves we're being dramatic or that it's too late or that it's not going to happen. It's not possible. But that discomfort, it's not failure. It's expansion. It's growth. It's possibility. It's capacity. Your capacity. And it's asking you to evolve. And evolution is always going to feel really uncomfortable at first. But I would argue that that discomfort is better than the discomfort you feel by ignoring it, by dismissing it, by pushing it down, by buffering it, and by not going after what you want, by not figuring out what it is you want, and by not finding out what is possible for you in your life. A word about clarity. People think they're going to have this aha moment, that everything is going to come together in one decision, that they're going to figure it out. But that doesn't always happen. And that's okay. You can gain clarity, you can gain momentum, you can figure out your way with movement. You start to try things, you start to discover, you start to explore, experiment. Be willing to be uncomfortable. Take small steps, inch by inch, bit by bit. You may not know exactly how you're going to get to where you want to go, and that's okay. You take the next step and the next step and the next step. And when you're trying to decide what it is you really want, where you want to go, there may not be that aha moment. It may come later, but you can figure it out along the way. And probably what's happened is so many of us are so busy, we have not had the practice or the experience in allowing ourselves to want things and to explore and to be curious and to be creative. And if that's happened, then you need to get back into the practice and start to open yourself up. So don't get stuck waiting for that aha moment, because that will keep you stuck. And that's really just another form of buffering, right? You don't have to take any risks. You don't have to put yourself out there. You don't have to take any action because you're so busy thinking about what it is you should do or what you want to do. But it's really just a way to delay change. So, how does reinvention really happen? It doesn't have to be through dramatic change. We start with awareness. We start noticing the patterns that are keeping us small. We want to ask great questions of our brain and of ourselves so that we start to open up. What am I avoiding? Where am I playing small? What am I pretending not to know? What do I actually want? What if anything was possible? What if I wasn't going to fail? And when you begin to answer those questions honestly and start to explore, that's when your identity begins to shift. You start to have changes and you stop living from obligation and you start living from intention, deliberately, on purpose. And that's the identity evolution. And that's some of the most important work that we can do for ourselves. And that's the real foundation of reinvention. That's why I wanted to do this series. So this week, I want to offer you a few questions. Take a few minutes, pull out your journal, sit with them. Ask yourself, where in my life am I trying to fix a surface problem? Where am I blaming my job, my schedule, my weight, my circumstances for something deeper? What am I avoiding? What version of myself am I still living from? And what version of myself is trying to emerge? These questions alone can open the door to massive change. Now, next week, we're going to finish the Reinvention series with a powerful question. What do you actually want? Because so many times we think we're craving smaller bodies or less stress or more productivity, but what we're craving is actually something much deeper. It's aliveness, it's transformation, it's meaning, it's expansion. It's the permission to want more, to drop the good girl, to let go of the past, and to create something that you never imagined was possible for you in your life. So, we're going to talk about that next week and how to start feeding that part of yourself if that's what you want. So, if this series is resonating with you, please share it with another woman who might need to hear it. Rate, review, share, subscribe the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be hosting a new webinar on March 26th. So that's Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Zoom. It's called The 3 Secrets, and I'm going to show you how to move from my best years are behind me to I'm just getting started. I'm really excited about this. It's going to be a good one. Brand new material. The cost is $7. You will receive a replay. So if you can't make it live, if the time zones don't work out for you, no problem. You will get the replay within 24 hours. The link to reserve your spot will be in the show notes. I also invite you to sign up for the Clarity Audit, where you answer a few questions. And for $29, you will receive a bespoke, personalized video from me showing you some of your blind spots and where you're getting stuck and how you can move yourself forward, take action immediately. And as we talked about today in the Reinvention series, to really start evolving and to grow and to make some of those changes. It will also give you some great awareness and give you some tips and ideas of what you want to pay attention to in your own life, where some of those blind spots are. And I'm excited to do these. I've done several and they're a lot of fun. I'm very happy with the way they're turning out and the feedback has been phenomenal. So the link to purchase that will also be in the show notes. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. And I will talk to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.